So hello, let's begin where we left last time. The President of India, Part 5, Union, Chapter the Executive President and Vice President. The Article 52, the President of India, there shall be President. Okay. Article 50, Executive Power of the Union. Executive power of the Union shall be vested in the President and shall be exercised by him. It's a gen, gender neutral term or what? I think him is not a gender neutral term. Well, this way, him is uh, okay. So him is not gender neutral. As we can say, the him is not a gender. Is it? Yeah, and it is not in the official. It is a big. How now? They think everyone. According to this constitution, subclause 2 of Article 53. I hope Article. I mean, without prejudice. Yeah, I can pronounce looking at the prejudice. Without prejudice, the generality of him command, the defense shall be vested in the president, and the exercise thereof shall be regulated by law. A. 3. Subclause 3. Nothing is article shall A. be deemed to transfer to the president any function conferred by any existing law on the other authority, or prevent parliament from by law other than president. Article 50. Election of president. President be elected by the electorate which elected parliament and elected uh, or states में party आती है आ रही है. Article 55. Article 55. Manner of election of president. Subclause 1. As far as practicable, there shall be in scale of representation the different state at the election of the president. Subclause 2. For the purpose of securing such uniformity among the states, inter se as well as parity between the states as the whole and the union. Number of votes which each elected member of parliament and of the legislative assembly of each state is entitled to cast at such election shall be determined in the following manner. A. Every elected member of the legislative assembly of state shall have as many votes as there are multiples of 1000 in the quotient obtained by dividing the population of the state by the total number of the elected members of the assembly. If after taking the said multiples of 1000 the remainder is not less than 500, then the vote of each member referred to in subclause shall be increased by 1. Each elected member of either House of Parliament shall have such number of votes as may obtained by dividing the total numbers of votes assigned to the members of the Legislative Assembly of State under subclause A and B by the total numbers of the elected members of the House of Parliament, fractions exceeding one half being counted as one and the other fraction being disregarded. Okay, I didn't understand any of these because I am weak in math. Congratulations. Okay, so something is population being divided. I didn't know, and I will look into it later. 3. The election of president shall be held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of the single transport vote, and the voting at such election shall be by secret ballot. Ah, I can understand. I mean, indirectly, even if I don't know maths, I know how the MLAs are selected, how the Legislative Assembly is selected. It's basically, if you have more population in the state, you will have more votes which in the selection of the president. Yeah, indirectly, whoever has more MLAs and Legislative Assembly members have the president. Even I don't know the complex math and the census. Oh man, I am actually worried, if now the new census is gonna happen in 2027 or 2026. After the population number will come, will they also, distribute MLA seat population wise the states? Because if they do, the power of southern states are gonna decrease, power of northern states is gonna increase, which is, I mean, terrible for the south. So yeah, this can create a divide between country. I don't know what will happen. We'll look into. Provided that the reference in this explanation to the last preceding census of which the relevant figures have been published shall until the relevant figures for the first census taken after the year 2026 have been published be construed as reference to the 1971 census. Okay, so basically it is gonna happen as 1971 census. But after this year's census, 2026, the year we are currently living, it will change basically. May not, not may, it is will. Obviously, unless danga binga. 56 term of office of president. The president shall hold office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he enters upon his office, provided that the president may, by writing under his and addressed to the vice president resign his office. The president may, for violation of the constitution, may be removed from office by impeachment in the manner provided in Article 60. Article. Here are that will come here. Article 56, subclause C. The President shall, notwithstanding the expiration of his term, continue to hold office until his successor enter upon his office. So basically, the President shall, as long as arrive, any resignation addressed to the Vice President under Clause A of the provision, Clause 1, okay, shall forthwith communicated by him to the Speaker of the House of the People. Okay, so the President is gonna resign. He have to inform Vice President and the Speaker of the House of the People. When was this added, man? Like, it's not shown here. Amendment, 84th Amendment, not shown. Maybe this is not important. Article 57. Eligibility for election. A person who holds or who has held office as a president shall, subject to other provisions of his constitution, be eligible for election that office. Qualification for election as president. No person shall be eligible for election as president unless he is a citizen of India, has completed the age of 35 years. Yeah, I really don't, understand 35 years of the age. Okay, you have put the 35. Okay, I understand it. I at least put the older side of the dead too, man. Like 65, 70 years. After that, you can't become a president. Not like, you are fucking 80, you are pooping in your fucking pants and you are a president. No, no, no thanks. I will take a 25-year hot young head over the 80-year pant poop. Sorry, man. I'm not nothing against people pooping in there, but you are not able to handle large scale of people. You are not gonna govern them, or nor you are gonna make any important decision for them. Shut the fuck up. Get out. Article 58, clause B, clause 2. A person shall not be eligible for election as president if he holds any office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state or under any local or other authority subject to the control of any of the said governments. For the purposes of this article, a person shall not be deemed to hold any office of profit by reason only that he is the president or vice president of the union of the government of any state, or he is a minister either of for the union or for any state. So basically, ministers can't become president. Article 59, condition of president's office. The president shall not be a member of either House of Parliament or okay, so president can't be a MLA when at least he is a president, or of a house of legislature of any state, and if a member of either house of parliament or of house of the legislation of any state be elected president, he shall be deemed to have vacated his seat in at house on the date on which he enters upon his office as a president. So if he becomes he's a MLA and he becomes a president, his MLA seat will be removed from him and it will be vacant. So re-election can happen, I guess. Subclause 2 of Article 59. The president shall not hold any other profit. Okay, what is profit here? I don't know, man. Let's see. We will search the office of profit. So, office of profit is a position when you may be gain financial things for your position as a president. Okay, that is understandable. The president shall be entitled without payment of rent to use of his official residence and shall be also entitled to such implements, allowance and privileges as may be determined by parliament by law and until provision in that way is so made such allowance and privileges are specified in the second schedule. The emoluments cannot pronounce emoluments. That's why English language sucks and we should adopt our local language. I cannot even pronounce this. Article 60. Oath or affirmation by President. Every president and every person acting as a president or discharging in the function of president shall, before entering upon his house, makes and subscribe in the presence of the Chief Justice of India or in his absence, senior most judge of the Supreme Court, available an oath or affirmation in the following form, that is to say, Raja, Raja, say, I, AB, do swear in the name of God that I will faithfully execute the office solely upon of President or discharge the function of President of India and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of India. Hey, okay, Mr. I have shown as a president now. Oh, to me. Now, okay, I mean, I do swear in the name of God. I mean, here, your God's name, just say, I swear in the name of God. You can put favorite God. I don't know, man. You're pagans. India is a pagan country. Pagan. No God. There are multiple gods. Article 61. Procedure for impeachment of the president. When a president is to be impeached for violation of the constitution, the charge shall be prepared by either House of Parliament Clause 2. No such charge shall be prepared unless A. The proposal to prepare the charge is contained in resolution which has been moved after at least 14 days notice in writing signed by no less than one-fourth of the total number of the House has been given of their intention the resolution and such resolution has been passed by a majority of not less than two-thirds of the total membership of the House. Okay, so the remaining president. Also, like you can, president is a sheep of the prime minister. President doesn't have much power. When a charge has been so prepared by either House of Parliament, the other House shall investigate the charge, cause the charge to be investigated, and President shall have the right to appear and be represented at such investigation. Yeah, I think these laws are pretty much in. Just I don't give a fuck about this law. I'm not a president and I don't have any plans to become a president. Yeah. Clause 4 of Article 61. If as a result of investigation, a resolution is passed by majority of not less than two-thirds of the total membership of the House by which the charge was investigated or caused to be investigated, declaring that the charge prepared against the President has been sustained, such resolution shall have the effect of President from his office as from the date on which the resolution is. Obviously, man, if the charge is which has declaring the charge preparing has been sustained, will be removed, man. He hated by thirds of the member house. He will be removed. Yeah, so removing president is not easy, according to Article 61. Article 62. Time of holding election to fill vacancy in the office of president and the term of office of a person elected to fill casual vacancy. One, an election to fill vacancy caused by expiration of the term of office of president shall be completed before the expiration of the term. Article 62, subclause. An election to fill a vacancy in the office of president occurring by reason of his death, resignation, or removal otherwise shall be held as possible as soon as possible after and in no case later than 6 months from the date of occurrence of vacancy, and the person elected to fill the vacancy shall, subject to the provisions of Article 56, be entitled to hold office for the full term of 5 years from the date of on which he enters upon his office. Article 56, citizen of India age more than 56, sorry, 35. Article 63, the Vice President of India, there shall be a Vice President of, okay, so there will be a Vice President. I think I was enjoying this constitution when it was like shown to describe. Now it is become boring to me. It has become very boring. The Vice President to be ex officio chairman of the Council of States. The Vice President shall be ex officio chairman of the Council of the State and shall not hold any other office profit, provided that during any period when the Vice President acts as a president or discharges the function of president under Article 65, he shall not perform the duties of the office of chairman of the Council of State and shall not be entitled to any salary or allowance payable to the chairman of states under Article 97. To act as a president or to discharge his function during casual vacancy in the office or during the absence of president in the event of occurrence of any vacancy in the office of president by reason of resignation or removal, resignation, resignation or removal, or otherwise the vice president shall act as a president until the date on new president elected in accordance with the provision of this chapter to fill such vacancy enters upon his office. Yeah. The president is unable to discharge his absence, illness, or any other cause. The vice president shall discharge until the date on which the president resumes duties. What are the duties of president? The vice president shall, during respect of the period while he is acting as or discharging the function of president, all the powers and immunities of the president and be entitled to such allowance and privileges as may determined by parliament by law until provision in that behalf is allowance and privileges are as specified in the second schedule. Okay. What is second schedule, man? I will search what is second schedule. Second schedule. Okay, okay. It is basically uh the vice presidential Article 66 election of vice president. The vice president shall be elected by the members of electoral college consisting of the vice president shall not be a member of either house of parliament or a house of the legislature of any state, and if a member of either house of parliament or house of legislature of any state be elected, he shall be deemed to have vacated his seat in that house on that on the date on which. Okay, so basically every rule which has been followed by the president also will be followed by the vice president to become a vice president. No person shall be eligible for election as a vice unless he is a citizen. Yeah, and is qualified for the election as a member of Council of States. Article 4 of Article 66, a person shall not be eligible for election as a vice president holds any office of profit under the government of India or under any other authority control of any of the state government. Basically, you cannot become a president. You even hold position of profit in other country. Literally, basically, you know that is good. Explanation for the purposes of this article: a person shall not hold any profit by reason only that he is president, vice president, or the governor of any state or mini. Article 67, term of office of vice president. Vice president shall hold office for term of 5 years from the date. Hey man, I am not reading this. It's basically whatever that is happened for the president. It is very, very boring, and I am not doing. I don't care. Article 68. Okay, this is also very same. Uh, every I mean, you can also say that the vice president has to also do the same, has to fill the same requirements as the. I have saved the fucking pages on multiple books and saved people's time. If the election of person as a president or vice president declared void by the Supreme Court, acts done by him, the exercise and performance of the powers and the duties of as the case may be, or on or before the date of the decision of the Supreme Court shall be not be invalidated by reason of that declaration. Subject to provision of Constitution, Parliament by law regulate any matter electing or connection of President, Vice President. The election of a person as a president. Election of person as a president or vice president shall not be called in question on the ground of the existence of any vacancy, whatever is the electoral college electing him. Okay, if there are not the if, for example, not all MLA seats are filled and there is a vacancy, you can still choose the election while the present MLAs which are there. And do election on the MLAs which exist. 72 article. Power of President grant pardons and to suspend remit of community sentence in certain cases. The President shall have the power to grant pardons, reprieves, respites, or remission of punishment, or to suspend remit or commute the sentence of any person convicted of any offense. In all cases where the punishment or sentence is by a court is a court. If president can pardon any, then eh, in all cases where the punishment or sentence is for an offense against any law relating to a matter to which the executive power of the union extends. In all cases where the sentence is sentence of death. It is not every case. It is martial court. Any is for pretty much nothing in subclause A of clause 1 shall effect the power conferred by law on any officer of the armed forces of the Union to suspend, remit, or commute a sentence passed by a court martial. Article 72, subclause 3, nothing in subclause C of clause 1 shall effect the power to suspend, remit, or commute a sentence of death exercised while governor of a state under any law for a long time in force. Article 73. Extent of executive power of the Union. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the executive power of the Union shall extend subclause A to the matters with respect to which Parliament has power to make laws, and clause B to the exercise of such rights, authority, and jurisdiction as are exercisable by the government of India by virtue of any treaty or agreement, provided that the executive power referred in subclause A shall not save as expressly provided in this Constitution or in any law made by Parliament, extend in any state to matters with respect to which the legislature of the state has also power to make laws. 2. Until otherwise provided by Parliament, a state and any officer or authority of a state may, notwithstanding anything this article, continue to exercise in matters with respect to which Parliament has power to make laws for that state, such executive power or function as the state or officer or authority there would exercise immediately before the commencement of this Constitution. Okay. Words or Rajam. Article 74. Council of Ministers to aid and advise President. There shall be a Council of Ministers with Prime to avoid to aid and advise the President, who shall in the exercise of his function act in accordance with such advice, provided that the President may acquire the Council of Ministers, reconsider such advice either generally or otherwise, and the President shall act in accordance with the advice tender after such reconsideration. The question whether any, and if so what, advice was tendered by ministers, the President shall not be inquired into any court. Article 7. Otherwise provision. Minister. The Prime Minister shall be appointed by the President, and other ministers shall be appointed by President on the advice of Prime Minister. Subclause A 1A. The total number of ministers, including the Prime Minister in the Council of Ministers, shall not exceed 10% of the total number of members of the House of the People. Okay. How many are there? Total number of the. What is the total number of House? Okay. 540. 50%. So yeah, it is a big number. Be a member of either House of Parliament belonging to any political party who is disqualified for being a member of that house under paragraph 2 of the 10th schedule shall also be disqualified to be appointed as a minister under clause 1 for duration of the period commencing from the date of his disqualification till the date on which the term of his office as a such member would expire, or where he contests any election to either House of Parliament before the expiry of such period till the date on which he is declared elected, whichever is earlier. So basically, you cannot be a minister if you are not a House of Parliament or the minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the president. Okay. The Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the House of the People. Before a minister enters upon his office, the president shall administer to him the oaths of office and of secrecy according to the form set out for the purpose in the third schedule. A minister who, for any period of 6 consecutive months, is not a member of either House of Parliament shall, at the expiration of that period, cease to be minister. Okay. The salaries and allowances of ministers shall be such as Parliament may from time to time by law determine, and until Parliament so determines such be shall be specified in the second schedule. Yes, we will see what is the current minister. Salary of current ministers. Yeah. So it is 1.6 lakh monthly. They are, it is more. I mean, yeah, it is not much. Many employees of the state are getting more than Article 76, Attorney General for India. The President shall appoint a person who is qualified to be appointed a judge of the Supreme Court to be Attorney, Attorney General of a Journal General for India. So it shall be the duty of Attorney General give advice to the government of India upon such legal matters and to perform such other duties of legal character as may from time to time be referred or assigned to him by the President, and to discharge the function conferred by or under this Constitution or any other law for the time being. Okay, the performance. In the performance of his duties, the Attorney General shall have right of audience in all courts in the territory of India. Clause 4, Article 76. The Attorney General shall hold office during the pleasure of the President and shall receive such remuneration remuneration as the President may determine. Conduct of government business. Article 77. Conduct of business of the Government of India. All executive action of the Government of India shall be expressed to be taken in the name of the President. All executive action. Okay. Clause 2. Orders and other instruments made and executed in the name of the President shall be authenticated in such manner as may specified in rules to be made by the President, and the validity of an order or instrument which is so authenticated shall not be called in question on the ground that it is not an order of instrument made or executed by the President. Okay. The President shall make rules for the more convenient transaction of the business of the Government of India for the allocation among secretaries of said business. Okay. We are coming to the Prime Minister, Article 70. Duties of Prime Minister as he respect the furnishing of information, etc. It shall be the duty of Prime Minister A to communicate to the President all decisions of Council of Ministers relating to the administration of affairs of the Union and proposals for legislation. Okay. Way to furnish such information relating to the administration of the affairs of the Union as President all. I don't think Modi does it. I really don't. B. If the President so requires, submit for the consideration of the Council of Ministers any matter which decision has been taken by a minister but which has not been considered by the Constitution of Parliament. There shall be a Parliament for the Union which shall consist of the President and two houses, respectively as of states and the Council of. Okay, this talking about union, India's union. This union territories or India as a union. Article 18. Composite of Council of State. Council of State shall consist of 12 members nominated by the President in accordance with the provision of Clause 3 and not more than 280, not more than 238 representatives of the state and of the territories. The allocation of seats in the Council of State to be filled by representative state and of the Union territories shall be in accordance with the provision in that we have contained for schedule. Clause 3 of Article 18, the members to be nominated by the President under Clause A of Clause 1 shall consist of persons having special knowledge or practical experience in respect of such as the following, namely literature, science, art, and social service. Okay, so people who attend the 12 members nominated president shall have the knowledge of science, art, At least they didn't say art or economic bullshit. Provision. The representatives of each state in the Council of State shall be elected by the elected members of the legislature of the state in the accordance system of proportional representation by a single transferable vote. Representative of the Union territories in the Council shall be chosen such manner as Parliament by law prescribe. 81. Composition of the House of the People subject to provision. The House of the People shall consist clause of article not more than 3 members chosen by direct election from territorial state and okay, so we choose not more than 20 members to represent the union territory chosen in the parliament by law for the purposes of subclause A of clause 1. There shall be allotted state a number of seats in, and I think this is changeable, that's why it is in bracket. This is also changeable, that's why it's in bracket. I mean, MLAs do increase. There shall be allotted to each state a number of seats in the House of People, in such manner that the ratio between population of the state is so far as practicable the same for all states, and B. Each state shall be divided into territorial such manner that the ratio between the population of each constituency and the number of seats allotted to it is so far as practicable the same throughout the state. Be applicable allotment. This article, the expression population means the population as trained and the last is the relevant, provided that difference in this clause last presidency which the relevant figure and be until the relevant figures for the first taken up here in public. Okay, so I think in up 2026, lots of changes have gonna come for the purposes of subclause A of clause 2. I think this is beneficial for BJP. In Hindi state, they at least get votes. In South, they don't get any vote. I mean, seats. They get vote in South too. Get seat. So this is gonna be beneficial for BJP after 2020. I mean, I didn't understand what the fuck they were fully, but it is has to be for the purpose of subclause A of clause 2, the proviso to that clause of reference 97 for the purpose of subclause B, a clause up to reference to the sense 2000. Okay, I didn't even see one to the Article 82 adjustment after each census. Upon the completion of each census, the allocation of seats in the House of the people to the state and the division of each state into territorial constituencies shall be readjusted by such authority in such manner as Parliament may by law determine, provided that such a readjustment shall not affect representation in the House of the People until the res- resolution of the then existing House. Resolution. Resolution of the existing. Oh man, it is very boring English. Very, very boring English. Yeah, man, can be written. So basically, is that uh, House of the People of two states related to something as a MLAs. Provided also that until the relevant figure for the late first census taken up to 26 shall not be adjusted. The allocation of seats in the House of People, the state has readjusted basis of 1971 division of state into territorial constituency as may article. Duration of Council of State shall not be subject to decision, but as possible one third the Article 83 duration of Houses of Parliament. Council it shall not be subject to dissolution but as merely as possible one third of the members thereof shall retire as soon as may be on the expiration of every second year in accordance with provision made in that behalf by Parliament. House of the People unless dissolved shall continue by the date appointed for its first meeting and no longer the expiration of the period of 5 years shall operate as a dissolution, provided that did I check what is House of the okay Lok Sabha. Okay, okay. Provided that the Sabha, okay, the House of the People is the Lok Sabha. House of the People is Lok Sabha. provided that said period may, while the proclamation of emergencies in operation, be extended by Parliament by law for a period not exceeding one at a time and not extending is beyond a period of 6 months after the proclamation has ceased operate. Emergency when emergency you have to do it yearly. If after 6 months that 1 year has finished, you have to do it. Government. Article 84 qualification for membership of parliament. Person shall not be qualified to be chosen to fill a seat in parliament unless he citizen of India and makes this and subscribe before some person authorized in that behalf by election commission an oath or affirmation according to the form set out for the purpose in the third schedule. D is in the case of seat in council of state not less than years of age, and the case of seat in the house of the people not less than 25 years of age. Okay. Okay, what is the council of state section? Because reading it. Okay, the council of states is Rajya Sabha. Okay, understood. State legislature. Okay, okay. The council of state had 245 members and 12 are elected by the president. It's elected or chosen, and others are by the council of assembly of states. Assembly election of possess such other qualification as may be prescribed in the behalf by or under any law made by parliament. Okay, for example, you have to go in parliament, you have to at least be 25 old and still elected by House of the People, which is Lok Sabha. And here it has to be 30, in which is elected by either selected by either president or which is elected by your state local election of MLAs. Okay, that is understandable. Man. 2030 is not okay, man. This stream ends here.